President Biden had classified documents discovered in his garage in Delaware, in the Penn Biden CCP-funded think tank center in Washington, D.C., and this was after the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago at the end of 2022 because Donald Trump was hoarding classified documents there. So essentially what the government did is they're like, we need to be objective, or at least we need to look objective. The FBI just raided Mar-a-Lago. Classified documents discovered in the, president's garage, no bueno. We're going to appoint a special counsel to investigate this. So Attorney General Garland, Merrick Garland, that is, appointed special counsel Robert Hur. After a year of investigating, interviews, et cetera, Hur came out with a report which said that when now President Biden was vice president and continuing into his time as president, he hoarded classified documents. He stored them in very public, accessible places like his garage. He was sloppy, and he disclosed classified information to people who did not have security clearance, namely his ghostwriter. Because the documents primarily that the former vice president at that time, now obviously president, seemed to hoard in particular were classified documents pertaining to the debate in the Obama White House about what to do in Afghanistan. And President Biden really views it, apparently, as an important part of his legacy, that he was one of the few people in the Obama administration who demanded that we get out of Afghanistan. And then when he became president, he got us out of Afghanistan. I mean, it was absolutely horrible, but he fulfilled his dreams of legacy by getting us out of Afghanistan. So he hoarded a lot of those documents. And as I said, he spoke about those classified documents to his ghostwriter. In that Hur report, there's a quote from February of 2017 where President Biden said to his ghostwriter, quote, "Just found all the classified stuff downstairs." Great. So anyway, Hur exposes this, but Hur decides to not press charges, to not pursue prosecution against the president. Why? Well, because he says that basically, jurors are not going to be convinced that the president was in the right mental state at the time to know that he was committing a crime. And as I said, there's this concept in the law called mens rea, which is called guilty mind. Whereas you need to know that you're committing a crime in order to be, prosecuted and convicted of a crime. For instance, if you're picking your kid up from school and you pull up to the curb and you're not paying attention, you're listening to Timeless with Julie Hartman live on your, Spotify, and some kid gets in the back seat that's not your kid, and you're halfway home and you turn around and you go, oh my God, that's not my kid. You're not going to be, convicted of kidnapping because you didn't know that you were committing the crime. You didn't have the requisite mens rea to be a criminal. And so what Hur was saying is that when Joe Biden hoarded these classified documents in his house, he was just a senile old man, and a jury is not going to be convinced that he had the mens rea to know that he was hoarding classified documents. Very bad for President Biden, because although he is dodging, a criminal prosecution, the special prosecutor is essentially saying if he is mentally unfit to know he is committing a crime, he is certainly mentally unfit to be the president of the United States. So Congress, what was this, yesterday or 2 days ago, sometime this week, brought Robert Hur for a congressional hearing. Just want to pause for a moment. We have so many congressional hearings, and sometimes they're good, but it's just like, what are they doing all day? Like, they got to cut back spending. They've got to, help us with our debt. They've got to help us with test scores. They've got to seal the border. Like, what are you doing all day hauling in these people, as revelatory as the Claudine Gay and Liz McGill testimonies were, the Penn, MIT, and Harvard presidents' congressional testimonies, as revelatory as they were, it was kind of like, okay, well, why are they there? Anyway, they bring in Robert Hur, and there were some revelations here. And the behavior of the Democratic Congress people was gross, to put it mildly. But let's first look at when a Republican congressperson was asking Robert Hur about the president's potential intervention in that special counsel report before it was even released.
Mr. Hur, during your one-year investigation, did you have communications with the White House and the White House counsel in particular?
Yes.
I think you had I got 5 letters that they and they communicated with you regarding your investigation. Is that accurate?
We received a number of letters from White House counsel's office and as well as the president's personal counsel.
Right. They're either special counsel or personal counsel. I see who signed the letters. And did the White House get the report before the report was made public?
We did provide a draft of the report to the White House counsel's office and members of the president's personal counsel team for their review.
No, I understand. And did the White House then, once they got the report before it went public, did the White House try to weigh in with your investigation on elements of that report and, frankly, get the report changed?
They did request certain edits and changes to the draft report.
Democracy, though, right? Democracy. All right, let's hear the rest of it.
They asked for you to change some of the things you had in your report, namely the fact that the president's memory was not very good. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but I also have 2 other letters. One on February 7th to Merrick Garland, where they raised the same concern, and then on February 12th, where they go to the DAG. I just find that interesting. You know, the White House they're communicating with you throughout this one-year investigation, and then the White House says, "Oh, we're going to go to the principal's office, and we're going to talk about Mr. Hur's report."
So the whole backstory here in simple terms is that Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Special Counsel Robert Hur to do this investigation. So technically his investigation is under the oversight of the Attorney General, who was appointed by President Biden to head the Justice Department. But why are they getting this report before it was made public? And also, why is the president and his legal team and the Attorney General trying to change parts of the report so as to not include the parts in which Robert Hur classifies President Biden as a, quote, sympathetic but elderly old man with diminishing faculties and advancing age? It's not good, right? And again, democracy, 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 democracy. Here you have a special counsel report, and they're trying to edit it to make Joe Biden look better. But according to Democratic congressmen, it was, Robert Hur who was the one playing political games. Let's look at one clip here.
So this lengthy, expensive, and independent investigation resulted in a complete exoneration of President Joe Biden.
False.
For every document you discussed in your report, you found insufficient evidence that the president violated any laws about possession or retention of classified materials. The primary law that you analyzed for potential prosecution was part of the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793E, which criminalizes willful retention or disclosure of national defense information. Is that correct?
Congresswoman, that is one statute that we analyzed. I need to go back and make sure that I take note of the word that you used, exoneration. That is not a word that
I'm
appears
going
in
to
the
continue
report,
with my questions.
I'm
going to continue with my questions. I know that the term
I ultimately reached
I know that
whether
the term
sufficient evidence existed such that the likely outcome
you exonerated
would be a conviction.
him. I know that
did
the
not
term
exonerate him.
willful
That word does not appear in
retention
the
has a
report, Congresswoman.
Mr. Hur, it's my time.
This is so important. So what was happening was that she was saying essentially this whole special counsel report that you gave totally exonerated the president, and Hur cut in and said, no, that's not what it said. It did not exonerate the president, and actually found that he willfully retained classified documents and he mishandled them. He was sloppy. He disclosed classified information. But then she's cutting in and going like, we have to continue. And he's cutting in going, no, this needs to be clarified. He was not exonerated. So she's trying to shout him down, because she doesn't want it, heard that he is saying, no, the president was not exonerated. And then she goes, it's my time. Freedom of speech, democracy, hee, ho, ho. Joe, not Trump. Democracy, right? Well, let's continue. So this is Adam Shiff. Adam Shiff, he to me, it's like Gavin Newsom, Adam Shiff. I can't decide who's worse. One of Robert's recommendations is like, if you could be on a desert island, either alone or with someone you've always despised, which one would you choose? And I picture myself having to be on a desert island with either Newsom or Adam Shiff, and I opt to be alone. Here's where Adam Shiff was saying that Robert Hur, by acknowledging that President Biden was an elderly old man, was playing political games.
I need to address something that you said in your prior question. What you are suggesting is that I needed to provide a different version of my report that would be fit for public release. That is nowhere in the rules. I was to prepare a confidential report that was comprehensive and thorough of an explanation.
What is in the
of my
rules,
position as
Mr.
Attorney General.
Hur, what is in the rules is you don't gratuitously do things to prejudice the subject of an investigation when you're declining to prosecute. You don't gratuitously add language
It was not
that you know
gratuitous.
will be useful in a political campaign. You were not born yesterday. You understood exactly what you were doing. It was a choice. You certainly didn't have to include that language. You could have said vis-a-vis the documents that were found at the university, the president did not recall.
Okay, is it evilness or stupidity? I can't figure out which. The language that Robert Hur used was not gratuitous. Adam Schiff is making the argument that he just threw in this language that Joe Biden was a sympathetic, elderly, old man with diminishing faculties just to slime him. Okay, this was a central part of the special counsel report that Joe Biden and the Democratic Party benefits from. They benefit from the fact that he is not being prosecuted. And the whole basis of him not being prosecuted is that Robert Hur has concluded that he lacked the requisite mens rea or guilty mind to when he was hoarding the classified documents to be convicted. Again, I can't, when I look at it, is it stupidity? Is it totally just acting in bad faith? Like, you know what? I think it's the latter, because he's not that stupid. He knows exactly what was going on.